in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now, please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope soul, sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. That like button would tell me where you at. You know, step from the MBK. Born and raised up MBK. Hey, real lady, where she holding it down. No matter way how you feel, she gon' greet you with a smile.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't talk.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't talk.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't talk.
What?
Don't talk.
What?
Don't talk.
Where you at? Where you at?
The Knicks have reportedly passed on Paul George, Karl Anthony Towns, Zach Lavine for different reasons. Are they being too patient and waiting for the right fit? And what fit are they actually waiting for? Is it a roster fit? Is it a salary fit? We'll talk about that. Fournier sounds off on being taken out of the rotation. Did Thibs have a hand in decreasing his value, or was it the right move at the right time? We'll talk about that as well. Embiid has hinted at the possibility of leaving Philadelphia and then turned around and reportedly stated he wants to finish his career in Philly. Given his lackluster playoff performance, even if he were to become available, should he be a target for the Knicks? We'll talk about that. Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the Just Nick and It weekly show. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen. Thanks for joining me in the panel as we give our takes on the above topics. It should be a lot of fun as always. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Nothing But Knicks. Forever grateful. Simeon Russell. Let me bring in the panel. Salute, fellas. How are you?
Great.
Salute, Queen and fellas. Salute to the chat, Knicks Nation. What's up? We go for another round.
Yeah. This should be a lot of fun. I'm just getting myself together here.
So good, man. Salute to the chat.
Yeah,
Salute
definitely.
For sure.
Always rocking with us every Thursday.
Yeah, definitely. Hit that like button as you come in the door. All right. I mean, let's just jump right in. You know, are the Knicks, in your opinion, being a bit too patient? You know, reports came out that the Knicks had no interest in Karl Anthony Towns. The report came out that they called about Zach Lavine, but the price was too high. Reports came out that they called also about Paul George. We covered this on a prior show. And, you know, he wanted an extension. The Knicks didn't want to do that. I'm not sure there's going to be a perfect situation for the Knicks, but do you think is there a such thing as being too patient?
For
I don't know if you want to throw Donovan Mitchell into this discussion, or if that was, you know, last year and it's not, you know, relevant. But is there a such thing as being too patient, too cautious, waiting for the perfect fit? We'll start with you, Joel, Jeff, and then Ajay. And we'll check in with the chat as well.
All right, cool. I was actually going to bring up Donovan Mitchell because I think we could have asked this same question last year when they didn't, you know, hit the snooze button on the trade, and the Cavs ended up getting them. I think maybe they was too impatient when it came to that deal, but not the players that you just named, especially with Cat and Lavine. They already played for Thibs before. I'm not 100% sure that they will want to play for Thibs again. Mm-hmm. So they might not even be his type of guys. Like we already talked about, like ad nauseum every week we talk about Thibs bringing in his type of guys. Those two dudes already played for Thibs. They might not be his type of guy. Okay. So even though they are the ones in question, like I don't want to say that they're too patient because they didn't get them. Donovan Mitchell is a better example for me than Cat, Lavine, and who else did you say? Paul George?
Paul George, yes.
Paul George. Maybe Paul George, but Paul George I can see when it comes to the difference between him and the other two is age. Mm-hmm. So I could definitely see why they didn't want to give the house up for him. But Cat and Lavine, I mean, that's when it comes to the personal relationships with Thibs. That's why maybe they didn't go after them, or maybe the price was too high because of stuff like that. Like if they're gonna give up something like that, it has to be a Thibs guy, or they're gonna have to get rid of him. And I don't think they want to get rid of Tom Thibodeau. But for me, Donovan Mitchell is probably the better example for that. For me, I would have liked them to get that done. That was the impatient part for me, not the free agents this year.
Okay. All right, Jeff.
I think they're wise to be patient, and here's why. We're in year 3 of our rebuild, in my opinion. And so if you're in year 3, I don't think there's any need to push all your chips into the center of the table if it's not for the right guy. Each one of those deals has its own hiccups and hamstrings, and I don't think they wanted to. Hurt their ability to make another move, because I think the front office believes that we're two moves away, because I think you can see that by how they've treated their draft capital, and they want to have that flexibility. Like if you notice that the talk about a trade, they were willing to give up that 2024 first rounder, but not 24 and 26, because they want to have that flexibility. If another move comes along, that they after the draft they could then deal 25, 27, and 29. But if you give up 2024 and 2026, then you limit yourself on what you can do in order to make the big move. And I really think that the players that we've talked about they're big moves, they're back page splash moves, but I don't know that they're the right move to help us move forward with the core that we have.
But who's the right player? Because you can make an argument that you can upgrade a little, and then when that superstar comes available, you can flip that guy. So like, who are the Knicks waiting for? Who's the right move? And I agree with you that sometimes there's a salary issue. I don't really understand the fit issue, because the only one person you need to fit with, in my opinion, and that's Brunson. But yeah, so I guess my question is, who's the hypothetically, who would be this perfect? What's the prototype type player? Is it a salary issue? They're looking for somebody that doesn't make a lot of money. Are they looking for a forward? Are they looking for, like, who are they waiting for?
I think they're waiting for. I think the ideal would be a tall lockdown wing player who doesn't necessarily break the bank with their salary. Although under the right circumstances, I could kind of see how OG Anunoby could maybe be that guy. And in fact, if you're saying who's out there that's kind of in the right stratosphere, I say he's a possible. He's a possible. I don't know that I don't know that I would count on that, but just given his age and his skill set, being an all defensive player at the wing, the ability to shoot the 3-point shot, all of those things are things that this team needs, and provide a bridge to that next level. I don't know if he'll ever become available, but I think Brandon Ingram is another type of player who's the archetype of a guy who could really help us. And I think that's one of the reasons that we haven't made a move, is that there's not the player that the front office likes, that they want. I mean, I think that if the kid in Chicago was more about coming to the Knicks and not so expensive, they might have kicked the tires on him. But at his age and his not having won anything, I'm not losing any sleep over that. And I think there may be a possibility that they feel like they've got a future star in either Barrett or Grimes or Quickly, one of the three, and they kind of want to see if that pans out. And and you get the growth organically while still being able to maintain your flexibility moving forward, so that, if Doncic or Giannis or, somebody who's really, difference maker comes onto the market. Because that's the other thing, is sometimes it's just a matter of being prepared. We don't know all the time who's going to become available, right? All of a sudden, players are on the market that you didn't necessarily think were going to be. I'll use Kevin Durant as an example. I don't think before last summer when he said, I want out, I don't think anybody had their eyes on Kevin Durant. They just kind of assumed that he and Kyrie were going to do their thing in Brooklyn. And so, sometimes, yes, is it patience, but it's just having the flexibility and the ability to make the big move if and when it becomes available. And you know what? Maybe it doesn't, and you have to find other avenues to improve. But just to, once you make a move, that limits what else you can do moving forward. So unless you're really in love with the player and what you want to do, I can see being patient.
I mean, and I'll say this before, Ajay. I look at Miami. Miami's not sitting back waiting for the perfect guy to come loose. They make a move. Then when somebody like Dame Lillard comes loose, they use that, that guy to now try to put in a package for Damian Lillard. So I think there's two things. I think, yes, these particular players may not be players the Knicks particularly like. And I get that part. But I think the Knicks are looking for too perfect of a situation in terms of fit, in terms of salary. And I just don't think there is that perfect fit. And I just don't think you keep your money in your pocket waiting for an Embiid, waiting for a Giannis, when you could upgrade your team a little. Like, just say they were able to get OG. I'm not saying OG is on the market. Just say they were able to get Brandon Ingram. Again, Brandon Ingram is not on the market. Make that upgrade. If Giannis becomes available, you could put OG and Brandon Ingram in that trade. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think you have to wait for this superstar that may not happen. Improve your team. And if a superstar becomes available, whoever you traded for a year or 2 years before, you could put that guy in the trade. But again, I'm not arguing about these three guys, Paul George, Karl Anthony Towns, and Lavine. There could be specific reasons they didn't want these particular guys. I just feel like whoever comes up, the Knicks have a reason for why they're not the guy. Going back to Donovan Mitchell. Ajay?
Well, I want to say, first of all, I want to commend you guys, and I really, truly love, admire, and appreciate your optimism. And I'm optimistic. I have no idea what the front office is doing. Okay, you guys, I think that's why I love hanging out with you guys and a lot of these shows, because no matter what the front office does, no matter how stupid it may seem, like how much it doesn't make sense to the average Joe, you guys somehow come up with an explanation for it, and like, okay, but no, I don't think they know what they're doing. I don't think, not that they don't know. We don't know what they're doing. It doesn't make sense to me. And usually teams do, like, when they pick a player, they do look for a fit, and they do look for what works money wise. Sometimes you're gonna have to give one of these things up, right? Sometimes you're gonna be like, you know what, this guy costs a lot of money, but he's the perfect fit. In our case, we throw in another dilemma in the situation, right? We're looking for money fit, but we're looking for a Thibs guy on top of it. So that you're never gonna find that perfect triangulated, like the perfect Thibs guy, the perfect fit at the perfect price point. If that's the case, then by that time, Julius Randle will be on crutches. He'll be like 50 years old, and so will Jalen Brunson, and will never be able to accomplish anything. At some point, you're going to have to pull the trigger and say, you know what? We're going to have to say, what's more important? Getting a Thibs guy, getting a talented guy, or getting a cheap guy? We're going to have to figure this out, because you're not going to – the odds are getting all three of those and and one guy, it just doesn't happen. You know, it happens once in a lifetime. You know, and I can't even think of an example. But it's just, you know, but somehow you guys, you know, 1 minute they piling up all these first round picks, you know, for the big trade. But last week the second round pick was more valuable because that's what we got for Obi. You know, this week the first round. You guys make sense of it. You know, hats off to you guys. I love your optimism. Even though I am optimistic, I think the Knicks are going to do well, but not as well as you guys think, and I'm not as optimistic as you guys are. So I don't know what they're doing.
Well, I think the Knicks could take a step back. And so like all of the us fans who are saying let's run it back, and they very happy about running back, is going to be the first of the fan base to get really upset if the Knicks falter out of the gate, or if there isn't that internal growth that we're expecting from our players. Everybody is going to turn, when the reality is we're basically running back the same team with DiVincenzo, hoping for internal growth, hoping that Grimes and Quickly and RJ take the next step, hoping that the chemistry is better because they've played together for a year. These are the things that we're banking on for next season.
Well, I think too, and maybe I said this already. If I did, I apologize. But I think that it's an organizational philosophy right now. Leon Rose is the guy who goes to shopping for a car and he knows what price he's willing to pay, and he's not willing to go above that price. And so that sometimes means that you have to walk away from the deal, right? And I think one of his weaknesses, if you want to call that, he's kind of a spendthrift. You know, I think he's a little bit on the cheap side or the frugal side. And so if he feels like he's having to pay more than he's comfortable with, he's going to walk away from the deal. And I think we saw that last year in the deal with Ainge. And I'm not lauding it and I'm not criticizing it. You can take it for what it's worth. But I think that is something that we've seen of his. And I think it's one of the reasons why we ended up getting such a poor return for Obi Toppin, is because they waited so long because they wanted to squeeze every little ounce of juice out of the orange, and then they squeezed too tight and they ended up not getting anything, you know? So I'm not saying it's necessarily a strength or a weakness, but I think it is an organizational philosophy where they know what they want to pay, and if it's above that, they're just not going to pay it. They're going to walk away.
Yeah, I hear you, but I can't tell you how many times I went to buy a car, even went to buy my house, and it was a little bit more than I wanted to pay, and I stretched it, and I was very happy, and I was able to make it happen. So it can happen now, you know, that way too. You know, what's wrong with playing a little extra to get the player you want? Like everybody is talking about
the key there.
Yeah, right.
So what you're saying is you had the right car or the right house, and you were willing to pay that little bit extra. And I think if the right car or the right house becomes available, then I think you'll see that. But for right now,
I don't think that happened with Donovan. I thought Donovan was this is before Brunson even popped. You're in how many times are you going to get a star player in their prime at 25? That doesn't happen too often. It doesn't happen. What is wrong with playing a little extra? Everybody talk about the Knicks tax. The Knicks are getting fleeced. What's wrong with playing a little extra to get the player you want? I just don't see anything wrong with it. The Knicks would have still had a lot of assets left after the Donovan Mitchell thing. Like the fans that's talking about, oh, we can't get fleeced. We can't get fleeced. These are the fans that want a championship, but at the same time want to go bargain hunting. It's just, you just can't have it. If you're not developing a draft pick, if a draft pick doesn't turn into a star, and you got to get a star off the free agent market or in a trade, you're going to have to pony up. They're just not going to come cheap. You're going to have to pony up. Now, you can argue, okay, fine, Towns, Lavine, George, those are not stuff. But when Donovan Mitchell became available, that's not the time to be tight, in my opinion. And then we're going to look 4 years from now, we're going to see Quickly and we're going to see Grimes. Let's just say they don't continue on the same trajectory that we think they are, and they level off. How many of us are going to be disappointed? Like, wow, we could have had Donovan Mitchell if we was willing to pony up. Because look at the better we get as a team, the less valuable our first round picks are. Our first round picks were more valuable 2 years ago than they are now. These are late first round picks now.
But I think also let's examine the deal that Cleveland made, okay? Those picks don't start until 2025 and they go all the way until 2029. So and if you're talking pick swaps in between, that's a lot of capital the most valuable assets you have are your own draft picks typically. And you only get to make that deal once. So if you're going to make that deal once, you not only does it have to be the right player, and I would argue that Mitchell is pretty up there, although I do question and I did at the time, how Mitchell and Brunson work together in the backcourt. They seem awfully small and not very good defensively, which would run Thibs crazy, but maybe you want a different coach. I don't know. I think that presents a lot of problems in and of itself, but put that to the side for a second, just to say that you limit yourself, you hamper yourself. And I'm just using this example. Let's say that they were only at where they are now, a 45, 46 win team that would, if that was the leap that we made with Donovan Mitchell, we would have Mitchell, but then we wouldn't have all of our other assets to go out and get the next guy. We would still have some, but we wouldn't have as many. And we've noticed that the conditional picks that we have aren't garnering much value right now. And so it's probably a good thing that we held on to those picks, unless you think that Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson were the pieces that were going to take us to a championship. And I don't think that's the case.
But who is, though? You're going to have to build a team no matter what. So so basically what you're saying is we're not going to win a championship until Milwaukee trades us Giannis, till we get Giannis or Embiid.
That's not what I said.
But no, but what I'm trying to say is if you're not getting those guys, you're going to have to get somebody. Milwaukee is not giving us Giannis, so we're going to just sit here and wait for that. Philly is not giving us Embiid. You still have to build your team. And you got to trust. How many times have Brooklyn came from the dust in terms of trading their draft picks to rebuild their team? They did it when they traded for KD and Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. I was like, wow, they gave up all of it. They ain't gonna never be good. They found a way. They was able to clear cap space. It took them some time. Was able to get KD and Kyrie. Then they traded they came in free agency. Then they traded those guys. The point I'm trying to make is you can't be scared. Yeah, you got to be cautious. Yes, you have to be strategic, but you can't be like, oh, if we give up all our draft picks and if everything goes wrong, then 5 years from down the line, we're not going to have anything. Your front office is going to be able to finagle and move and be able to get you in position to rebuild if you need to do that. I just feel like, and I'm not talking about these particular three guys we're talking about today. I'm just saying the sense that I'm getting from this front office is they're just doubly cautious, waiting for the perfect player. And I just don't think there is one.
It seems like they're trying to do exactly what, like you mentioned, the Knicks tax, right? They seem like they're not willing to do that. Like on multiple occasions, every time we do have like a link with the Knicks and a superstar somewhere or a star on another team, the price is always too high. That's happened.
Like I would like to hear what was they asking for Lavine.
Right.
And I'm not
Exactly.
saying Lavine is a superstar. I'm just interested. What do the Knicks consider too much?
Right. Every single one, the price is too high. That's always been the reason why we didn't do it. So we don't know the direction of the front office, but that's obviously a direction that they're going. They're being cheap, like on purpose.
I just don't get it. And they don't talk.
Right.
They don't have press conferences. So you gotta surmise these things by the moves they're making or not making, and by these half reports you're getting, because they're not talking themselves.
Right.
And I just I just don't get it. Improve the team, and you could flip that guy for the next guy. So I'm not sure. But how patient are you guys? Are you in the run it back camp? And if you are in the run it back camp, how patient would you be if this team next year took a step back? Because the internal improvement that we're hoping our guys make, if they don't make it, and we're, I don't know, in the 8th seed, how comfortable are you guys okay with that? Like, do you feel like that's just part of the process because we weren't able to significantly upgrade the team? And I'm interested in what the chat feels about. Not run it back. I get it. Everybody run it back. You're going to get your wish. The question is, if there isn't the internal improvement that the run it back fans is anticipating, how patient are you going to be? Or are you going to be calling for heads to roll?
I'm personally calling for heads to roll. Like I'm not going to be that patient. Mainly because I know that we only got 2 years with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Like their contract comes up in 2 years. So to me, that's the window. If we don't do anything or add anything in those 2 years, I will be highly disappointed. Especially, I guess, maybe this year. After this year, if they don't do anything next summer, then we definitely have a problem. If we're gonna run it back again, and the only thing we added was Dante DiVincenzo in 2 years, that's not gonna cut it for me, because I don't have that much faith in our young guys. I know a lot of people still on the play the kids train, but I don't have that in me. Like I'm not trying to wait for Grimes to become an all-star. Like we need somebody at that position right now that can handle his business. Like Mitch and like pretty much everybody but Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson can be upgraded on our starting 5.
I love it.
And we haven't even gotten into timelines yet. Like all of these run it back people are just not taking into consideration where Brunson is right now.
Jarrell said, if they don't do something next year, that's not optimism. And next year, he's going to be like, if they don't do nothing next year, I'm going to say every year he's going to do next
because
year.
That's different, because after this season, that Jalen, like I said, that Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle extension is coming fast. Yeah. So if this year is already done, then we're not going to do anything this year unless we do something by the deadline. But this summer is already over. We only added Dante DiVincenzo. So the move has to be next summer. If it's not next summer, then like I'm saying, we have a problem. Because we wouldn't have anything to show for Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle if they continue to, raise their games in the next 2 years.
Yes, Boogie, I sent you the link. I'll send it again.
Queen. So in terms of running it back, I don't know. I mean, we're sort of running it back because most of the players are the same, but we made a change, and that's a crucial change. We put Dante DiVincenzo, and not that he's the big difference that's going to make with him is that he's a guy that Tom Thibodeau is going to play. It's not that he's such a great player that he's going to make a difference, but it's because Tom Thibodeau is going to allow him to play, and that's what's going to make a big difference. So in terms of running it back, listen, you have to improve, okay? And you know, we counting on the young players to get better. Guess what? Other teams' young players are also getting better. Like Orlando's young players are getting better.
Yeah.
You know, Charlotte, like everybody else is getting better. But you got to plug in where you're missing. Okay, you got to plug in at your weakest points. You got to make changes.
Right.
You know, I think they traumatized. They tried a couple of years ago with Kemba and Fournier, and then it was a complete disaster. So maybe this time they was like, you know what, we're staying put. But no, I think you got to add something to make it better. DiVincenzo is an addition, so he is gonna make a difference. But then you got to remember, other teams are making move. So now when I feel like when you run it back, you're hoping that your success is really based on two things, right? You count on your players making a huge leap, and you counting on other teams either not making that bigger leap or staying where they at or getting worse, right?
Right.
But it doesn't happen that way. That's just never how it happens, right?
Right.
We know Orlando's going to be better this year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and that's a bunch of young guys over there.
Detroit too.
Brooklyn's going to be better this year. Detroit's going to be better this year. So we have a bunch of teams that are. What's up, Jay Boogie? We have a bunch of teams that are getting better. They're hoping the same thing we're hoping. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, you got to make a move. You can't just keep running it back and running it back. You keep running back, you know, the whole world's going to pass you by.
All right. I mean, I want to hear from the chat, and we'll get to Jay Boogie. The run it back crew. If the Knicks are a little worse next season, are you okay with that? Are you okay with that? What's up, Jay Boogie? How you doing?
So Jay
J Bug.
Blessings to the family. How y'all doing? Shout out to the chat. Pardon me for running late. You know what I'm saying? I had amazing, disturbing evening going on. Everything was real good. You know, I hate to bear real quick, but I was at the Carolina Summer Leagues, and I just watched TJ Warren put up a simple, easy 43. Easy. I mean, just easy. Walked into it. And Bazemore is playing too. Ken Bazemore, he was playing tonight too, but I left after that. Had to get back, and was coming through. One of my guys that worked for me, and one of my trucks was stolen from in front of his house, and I had to deal with that. And come to find out, his son had the truck. So
yeah,
even been a little turmoil. Now I got the truck back and everything. I'm at ease. I'm at home. The household is relaxed and everything. Sorry to disturb y'all with what I had going on. I had to just do a slight vent. You know what I'm saying?
It's okay.
I was going crazy earlier, but yeah, blessings to the family, man. Good to see y'all another Thursday, as we all do. You know, shout out to the chat and everybody. What y'all rocking with? What y'all talking about?
We asking, do you think the Knicks are being too patient? They weren't in the Towns discussion, and that's fine. Paul George, he wanted an extension. They backed out of that. Zach Lavine, the reports are that, but the Bulls was asking too much. They backed out of that. Last year with Donovan Mitchell, apparently Ainge was asking for too much. Are the Knicks being too patient, waiting for the perfect guy? And is there a perfect guy?
My opinion on it, I mean, yes, I always want to upgrade the team and move forward, and always, feel like, we got the best product on the floor. But what they have done, me personally, for myself, I'm okay with it, because I've been in this situation before with the Atlanta Hawks, when we had a good season and shocked everybody. And then when that season was over, we did some maneuvering and everything and lost our identity and all that type stuff. And we got smashed that year. So with this happening this year right now, you know what I'm saying? Being that we ain't getting nothing, I'm all right with it. I can deal with it, because I need to know if y'all was real or if you was faking. That's one thing. That's where I'm looking at, and that's where I'm heading at, as far as, with me looking at this team. Nobody else is getting ready to do any more movement. You know what I'm saying? Any movement that's going to come, probably going to come after the end season play-in. I think I'm unsure if that's before the trade deadline or whatever, but people know what they need to do and what they can't do and what moves they want to make then. Far as us, being packed right here, what I'm saying, gives me a chance to see if these guys was real or if they was faking, what I'm saying? So it's an opportunity for the guys that was already here to showcase themselves, to bring it to the table again. Pretty much, it's three guys that really, really need to, bring it to the table. And if them guys bring it to the table, then we're gonna be all right. And one is IQ, which we talked about last week. We hope he do better in the playoffs because he don't elevate it pretty much every year. We need RJ to play like he played between games 3 of the Cleveland series and into game number 5 in the Miami series. And then we need Julius, what I'm saying, to do what he need to do and what he's capable to do. But he's only been showing us that in the regular season. It need to carry over into the playoff. So RJ need to do all season. IQ need to handle the playoffs. Julius need to handle the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? And then we can go from there. But for us to make a move and it doesn't work out, if it doesn't work out like we made moves when we lost to Atlanta, it's gonna look real ugly. I know, it's not the greatest thing. We impatient, us New Yorkers, we go getters. We want what we want when we want it and everything. And we want the team to be on, what I'm saying, have the best squad that they can have on the floor. But right now, we have not been in a position where Leon has pushed the button yet, what I'm saying, to make things happen, whereas I guess he feels comfortable about what he want to do with the Knicks.
But that's the question. Are they being too patient? I mean, I get it. This is what we got. We got to rock with it, and we're going to see if these guys take the next steps. But are we being just too patient? We not willing. The Knicks, I'm telling you, if you're trying to upgrade your team in free agency and through trade, you're going to have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to pay. They're just not going to come cheap. That's the price you pay for not drafting a star.
Well, I ain't but one way you don't pay hard, and that's if a player like the Embiid stories that's going on, you got to say y'all want to go to the Knicks. You got to say it. Like Dame said, I want to go to Miami. Like James Harden says, when he wants to get out, you got to let it be known. And if guys is letting it be known, and then that price to trade for them won't be as high because they're trying to do everything they can to make that trade to get him where he want to go, satisfy and move on. But when guys is not asking for a certain situation, now this is the bidding war. It's the bidding war for whatever that team wants, and then it's the bidding war for the other teams that want to go get them too. So it's a lot of bidding wars going on. But when it singles down and narrow down to one squad, would it be like, I want this right there? They sooner or later they're gonna make the trade happen. But it is what it is right now.
Okay. Where do you think the Knicks finish next year? Staying pat?
Oh,
not really staying pat. Obi is gone. We don't have a. That's a whole other. We don't have a backup power forward. At this point. With DiVincenzo, ballpark figure. You know what? You don't even have to be. You don't have to give specifics. Are the Knicks better, worse? Will the Knicks be better next season, worse, or will they stay about the same?
Top 6, somewhere between 3 and 6. That's where I feel, because now that playing tournament is going on, and that's right down Tom's alley. That's every game you got to play, every game. I don't know if some of these other teams can do that night in, night out. I know we can do it, and I know we're going to be in the best shape to do it. I do know that much, because that playing tournament, that's going to have people on their toes. You're going to have to put on every game. Every game is going to be like, a buy-in for the playoffs. So,
but don't we do that anyway, though? I mean, the Knicks as a team, don't they play every game like it's a playoff game anyway?
Yeah,
that's going to make a difference.
I mean, they do, but how many other teams do that and are used to that? Can they stand that punishment, that longevity, you got to go hard every game. I don't think they can. I think, there's so many people so used to, sitting down and giving people breaks and and trying to just make it to the playoffs. Now you got the playoffs early, so you got to get out of your bracket. What is 4 teams in every bracket? You got to get out of your bracket and then go see somebody. And then after that, you got to wipe your forehead and get ready for the second half of the season. I know Tom gonna have them guys here. Y'all already know he gonna change the thing. You know what Tom gonna be on? He's gonna be on it.
All right. So you think the Knicks are gonna be better? Okay. Anybody else?
I want to say something real quick, but Jay Boogie, you do realize that what you just said, that they always, we play hard every night. They're gonna be ready for that in-season tournament and all that good stuff. On the tail end of that, you know what that means? By the time we get to the real playoffs, we'll be messed up. That's what that means. We're gonna be banged up compared to the other teams who didn't care, who weren't killing themselves for the play-in tournament. So there's pros and cons to everything, and that's the problem with Tom Thibodeau teams, because by the time they get to April, everybody's on one leg, everybody's on crutches.
So will the other teams. So will the other teams be this time, though. The other teams will be like that. Everybody's going to be banged up. It's going to be who can withstand it. I know we've been battle tested to go 70-something games to get to 80 and make it to the playoffs. I just, that's how I look at it. A little bit, trying to just stay positive as I can. I know the ins and outs and what can, the don'ts, the do's, and who could be hurt and all that. But I like our chances. And if we stand pat and everybody else is stand pat and ain't doing no more, I like our chances. Milwaukee, they ain't done nothing different. Boston got weaker. Cleveland, they swapped out a shooter. Then who else you got? Miami, they discombobulated. They don't know what they want to do over there. And am I leaving somebody out?
Really?
The Nets got to learn to deal with one another. I like our chance. I'm not worried about the Pacers. That ain't nothing but free rec. When you walk in their gym, just say, yo, who got next? Let me get some run. They're just running up and down the floor. You know what I'm saying? Chicago, we already know they want to break that up. Some guys going to lay down just so they can make sure they trade them up out of there. And then you got the Philly mess going on. So I like our chances. At least we got a core back together. At least we have a core. Everybody else ain't but 2 teams got cores. With 3 teams got cores. Milwaukee, us, and Cleveland. And I know Cleveland going to have it out for us, but, we're not scared of Cleveland, and they know that.
Right. And I think Charlotte core will be back, too.
Yeah, and Charlotte, yeah. Yeah, Charlotte will be back, but they got to learn. They'll break down and pull over and have to, use that spare tire for that flat real any time of the season.
Right. Anybody else have any comment? I will say, though, I think Randle was a freak accident. I don't think that was because Thibs ran him down. He just sprained his ankle. I think that was a freak.
Yeah, I don't think that wasn't Thibs' fault. I do think we'll be a little better, though. Simply because we just got Josh Hart for a whole year, Dante DiVincenzo for a whole year. Those are upgrades from what we had last season. I know we had Josh Hart for the second half of the season, but him being more comfortable, knowing his role even more. Jalen Brunson's second year on the team, know his role even more. And
I anticipate he's going to be even better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like just because of that, we'll be a little better. That doesn't necessarily mean record-wise we'll be better, though, because of other teams. But as a team, like for us, like in the building, we'll be a better team. The record is a little different because that, dictate what other teams do as well. Like some of the other teams did get a little better, even though some did take a little step back. But, teams like Detroit, teams like Orlando, they're young, but we can lose to them. Like they have young cores with good coaches that can actually, get some out of their players. Never know.
Yeah, each season is different.
Right.
Each season is definitely different, and every season there's a team that made the playoffs the year before that drops out the next year. There's no guarantees. I don't think that's going to be us, by the way. But in terms of win totals, you got to remember Charlotte is going to be stronger. Orlando is going to be stronger. Detroit is going to be strong. We beat Detroit. I think we played Detroit 8 times. That's what it seems.
Right.
You know,
And Orlando.
right? And I think we got all of those wins,
Right.
or most of them. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but anyway, we'll see. It'll be interesting. I just think that the Knicks front office is a bit too patient. And I don't think there's anything wrong with playing a little extra to get the player you want. I just don't think so. These draft picks we have is losing value every 10 days. It just seems like it's just losing value, you know? So
I think maybe the player that they really, really want isn't available. And that's why they won't overpay for somebody else.
I agree.
Like the best bet was the Donovan Mitchell trade last year, like you said. They didn't want him bad enough, or they would have pulled the trigger. They couldn't have wanted him bad enough. Like they seem like they pulled out of that trade. It's not like, the Cavs actually had a better offer the whole time. I think they just pulled out.
Okay.
I think if they knew Cleveland was, was going to be swinging for them, I think they would have gone ahead and done whatever they'd had to do. I think they just got caught sleeping and napping. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we just gonna fall back and chill until you come to your senses and let us get them. And then coming through the back door was Cleveland. I don't think they'll allow that type situation to happen again. But like you said, whoever they looking for and they want now, he must not be available. Because if he was available, I do believe that, that Leon would go ahead and push the button and go ahead and do what he needed to do. I think it was like 3 guys that they really, really had they wanted this year. And so far, those guys are not available. And then now here comes, the Greek situation and the Embiid situation. So definitely
you have to pony up.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to pony up. But to your point, you bring up a good point, Boogie. I thought the Knicks were overplaying their hand too, because they thought it was just them and nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
So they was playing hardball. And here come Cleveland coming through the back door, like you said. I mean, that's going to be fine. I just think you can wait for Giannis, you can wait for Embiid, but you're going to have to push all of your chips to the middle of the table, and you're going to have some minimum guys to fill out your roster when you finish with that trade.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to get some other guys to fill out your roster when you finish with that trade, because they coming in here to clean the cupboards for Giannis and Embiid.
No doubt.
I can't say this right here, I will say this right here. I do know that we are on his very short list. I do know that,
On whose short list?
On Embiid's very short list. I do know that, as far as, learning that over this week, having conversations with certain people. I do know we are on his short list, and he putting the pressure on them. I need to figure it out. He already said what he said publicly, but I do know that he has spoken to somebody that, I'm able to speak to, not throwing no names or nothing out there. But I know we're on a very short list of his. Very short.
All right. Well, Embiid was going to be segment number 3, but let's just move him. Let's move him up since you mentioned him. I'm not. If we get Embiid, we get Embiid. Don't get me wrong. I'm not really, really high on bringing in Embiid. He's somebody that struggled in the playoffs himself. And I just feel like your best player, I don't want my best player playing the center position. I just feel like they play in limited space, and it's easy to stop them, other than, the Joker, who can impact the game in different ways that Embiid can't, right? Embiid is not running the offense from the foul line or anything like that. So I just feel like, with Embiid, it's just easy. It's going to be easier. And again, he's not exclusively a low post player. He can, play outside, but he wouldn't be the player I would want to move my chips to the middle of the table for. And I'm not taking anything away from him. I ran his playoff stats versus his regular season stats, and they were comparable. I mean, his efficiency was a little less, in the playoffs. Points was a little less, but it wasn't egregious. But he also has a rap, as Jeff was saying, and he could talk more about it in those big games, as being somebody who still has to find his way. And he's played in 53, if I'm not mistaken, 53 playoff games. So it's not like, 6 seasons. He's been in the playoffs 6 times, and he's played in 53 playoff games. And he's still trying to find his way in terms of those big games, particularly game 7. So I'm not taking anything away from him. My preference would be a Giannis, a Luka, somebody who's a little harder to stop. But I'm interested in, so the question is, do we even want Embiid if he was to become available? I know he said what he said in the interview, but then he Begley threw water on that and basically said that he wanted to finish his career in Philly. But if he were to become available, is he at the top of your list as the star that you want the Knicks to go get?
My list, no, not the top of my list, but I do think because of the relationship with Leon Rose that he is probably the top of their list, though. Whether you think of that as fortunate or unfortunate, I guess it depends on how you feel about our front office basically doing deals when it comes to like past relationships with players. Because I think players like Devin Booker, players like Joel Embiid, and a couple others, CAA clients will probably be at the top of their list.
Yeah.
So
Embiid is CAA.
Yeah.
He is, okay.
Yeah, like Leon Rose was like his personal agent at one point, I think. So, yeah, I think he will be at the top of their list. But mine, no. Personally, no, he wouldn't be at the top of my list. For pretty much all of the same reasons that you said with him in the playoffs. To me, sometimes he can be a little soft. I'm not the biggest fan of Embiid's game because I think personally he stays out into the 3-point line too much. One of the shoot jumpers where he can like easily dominate the player that he's going up against inside. He still takes him outside for some reason. I don't like that personally. So just because of that, he wouldn't, be on the top of my list. But he is the MVP, and
no doubt about it.
Yeah, he's the MVP. So if we do get it, I'm not too upset. Like I ain't coming up here crying. You know what I'm saying? Because we got it. He's still young. He seems like he's been relatively healthy for the past couple years. Unlike his first few seasons. So if we do get him, I'll be optimistic for now, depending on who we, surround him with, but he wouldn't be at the top of my list. No.
Jeff? I mean, Jeff, Ajay, then
I was
Boogie.
going to say
before Ajay, Jeff, and then Boogie.
Before we go any further, right now, we only 35% of people watching this is liking the show. I don't understand this. Like this 193, almost 200 people watching, 66 likes. We can't.
Ooh, come on, family.
Man. That's the easiest way to support the show, man. Just click on that like button, so we could, so YouTube could give us a little respect and recommend this, whenever somebody's looking for some good content. Would Joel Embiid be on top of my list? Yeah. Yeah, he would be. He's a hell of a player, man. And I know you see Joel is like the hardcore old school, but the game's changed, right? I don't have a problem with the center, taking his guy outside, opening up the paint for the little guys to run in, get easy layups and stuff like that. Especially if he could score from the 3-point line or just inside the arc, he could score. Listen, I have no problem with him doing that. He is a little soft. He only plays tough when he plays Karl Anthony Towns, right? But any other player, he's like really soft. So you're right about that, and we want that toughness. But other than that, his offensive and defensive game too. He's not a terrible defender.
No,
he's pretty
he's
good. So
No,
he's got a pretty good all around game. He just doesn't have that toughness. But it's not that he doesn't have. He doesn't show it all the time. Because sometimes, like when he's in a battle, like his head is in the game, he shows toughness. But he doesn't show it every night. So I guess he needs motivation some nights. But
you've given up the barn, and that's what I'm saying. You talking about the regular season. I'm talking about the playoffs, because you've given up the barn for this guy. You're gonna have to pony up. So he's gonna have to be somebody in the playoffs that you can lean on heavily and believe that he's gonna get it done.
And Queen, you mentioned he's played 54 playoff games. At some
53.
point,
Yeah.
53. So at some point, he's gonna have that experience, that maturity. That
At some point, right now, he's 53.
oh, okay, well, right. Next season, the next playoff game that he's on. And we
54 is the cutoff. So he's at
for him,
54. You better be ready. Okay, all right.
I guess for him, 54 is. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
But yeah, no, he is a good player. Yes, I would, if he becomes available, I would go for him. Yes.
Wow. Okay. All right. Anybody else before I read the super chat? Jeff, Boogie?
It's hard when you have a player who's clearly better than everybody on your team right now and say, no, I don't want him.
Exactly.
That's true.
33 and 10 last year. But I don't know, something. The next season he plays 70 games in the regular season will be his first. So we know he's not durable. He's missed 2 playoff games in each of the last 2 seasons. And in the 2 playoff games he missed this year, Philly was 2-0. So if you want to win in the playoffs, how about shooting better than 4 for 20 from beyond the arc in the series against Boston, and being terrible in game 7 in a closeout situation. I just, we harp on Randle for not being playoff ready. How about paying a guy 2 times as much and getting similarly disappointing results? I mean, that may sound harsh, but I think if you look and dive deep into the numbers, maybe I miscalculated, but I think he was about 10 points per game lower this postseason in the playoffs with his scoring than he was during the regular season. Now, it was his biggest scoring output in the regular season, but I think he was about 10 points per game lower in the playoffs. And that to me is alarming. And then you combine that with the fact that he's got an injury history, and you combine that with the fact that he's got a contract that's going to pay him upwards of $50 million. Then you have to actually pony up the assets to get him. And it's like, is this the guy you want to hitch your wagon to? And I kind of agree with Jarrell, because Leon Rose was his agent. Leon Rose is probably a lot more comfortable with that than anybody on this panel is. I'll say that, because, family and relationships and all that fun stuff, that's real big for them. So I think that if you want to talk about a trade that they're willing to go all in for, I think that's one. I think you could see a package that included Robinson, Barrett, Quickly, and all of our number 1 picks, and swaps the whole deal. And I'm not saying that's what I would do, but I think that's something the Knicks would be willing to do, just because of the relationship that exists between player, former agent, that whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Boogie?
Oh, no, go ahead. Read your super chat.
Oh, okay. Um, the realist Nicker, why we rationalizing the front office inability to pull off a trade? This is the big lead. I'm jaded from previous years, but we need to get it done. That's it. Period. Appreciate you, the realist, Nicker. If this is your first time, welcome to the channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime we go live, including pop-up shows.
And Queen, who was that? The real who was that?
The realist Nicker.
The realest nigga. That's pretty much what I said to open the show. Like we try to make sense of what the front office is doing. That to the normal person doesn't make any sense. But we're like super optimistic about it and trying to rationalize. Yeah, no, they're just being patient. Oh no, you know, I don't. Two second round picks for OB is a good deal because they don't want to pay too much next year. Everything they do, we try to rationalize, but it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm sure they know they got a plan. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Listen, I understand Embiid was the MVP of the league. Nobody on this panel or anywhere in the world is doubting his talent and the season that he had last year, or even the season he had when he didn't win the MVP. He's as talented a big guy as he come. But the playoffs is a different animal. And sometimes it does take time for you to get over the hump. This is what the fans are talking about in Philly. The same thing the fans in Milwaukee was talking about before Giannis won that championship. Can he be a number one? Can he carry a team to a championship? This was the conversations they were having about Giannis before he won the championship. And these are the same conversation they're having about Embiid in Philadelphia. Is this the guy that can take and well, Joel, you can speak more to it because you live in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. They after that series, especially after the game 7, there was a lot of burning at the stake, let's just say that. Them and Doc Rivers, they was tired of Doc. They wanted him gone too, and plus they have questions about Embiid. Don't get me wrong, they're still the MVP in his eyes, and he deserved it, but playoff performance, you know, they want to win too. They haven't won a championship since '83. So yeah, they ready just like our fans are. Excuse me.
Right. And remember 2 years ago when Atlanta beat them.
Right.
On the way to Atlanta wasn't the favorite. They had the best player in the series.
Right.
Boogie?
The big bear. We talk about the big bear, the big grizzly bear. You know, I don't think we're not in a position to say we don't want no superstar. And much as we want one, we can't pick and choose. You know what I'm saying? It's either we do or we don't. But he's not on the top of my list. He's not. I'm still waiting for that thing in Dallas to break up. That's what I'm waiting to happen. If that breaks up, I'll just keep rooting. I'm pulling hard for Kyrie to do something amazingly stupid. Be yourself. Stay normal. Stop trying to be this good guy. No, I don't need you doing none of that. I need Lucas one up out of there. But I don't think he's at the top of the Knicks list, but he can be on the top of the Knicks list if he tell Philly, y'all want out of here, send me over there. I'm already stationary, you know what I'm saying, crib and everything. I ain't got to switch nothing out. I'm right here. And then, you know, it's going to cost us extra. It's going to cost to get him. And then it's going to cost again because we're in the same division and same conference. It's going to cost for them to, you know what I'm saying, to just send them right across the street to us. And because we're in New York, of course, you know, they don't play fair with us, you know. They ain't going to play fair at all with us. But Embiid, I mean, this guy brings too much to the table for me to say I can't get this guy if he says he wants to come here. Yeah, I know the injury points and everything about him, but everybody pretty much got injury situations. I think Embiid really wants to play with offense instead of offense always going through him. I think he really want to switch up and do something different. Whereas, even though he's the big guy, he's been the man. You know what I'm saying? Like with the Joker, the Joker could play in the offense, or he could play it going through him. He could do both sides. And MB hasn't had a chance. Besides let it play through him, he hasn't had a chance to play with the offense. And then when he had that chance, he allowed it to walk out the door. You know what I'm saying? And I judge his character about that, because ain't nowhere in the world I'd have let Jimmy walk out of that building for nothing. He just let his main guy go, and that's why Jimmy always, cracking on him. You know what I'm saying? You took to be Harris over me? Is you crazy? You know what I'm saying? He lets them know, and I don't know if Embiid will ever get back to a roster like that. It's not going to be in Philly. I don't know if it's with his next team or whatever. But if he chooses that he wants to go with us, I'm all for it. I'll see you later. Pack it up, Mitch. See you later. Pack it up, RJ. And
more than that,
perhaps Julius,
and 2 years.
Yeah, unless he says that he don't want Julius to leave, because that's what Bradley did. Bradley did that over there with Phoenix, with his no trade clause. Nah, don't put Ayton in that trade. I ain't coming. So I don't know
how a no trade clause. I don't know if Embiid has that.
I don't think he does it, right?
Nope.
Yeah, but still no trade clause or trade clause. These guys, they run the league. They run the league, so they do what they want to do, when they want to do, how they want to do it. And we got a commissioner right now that pretty much he don't even care. He's still throwing parties in 1987 on the first floor. So he don't even care about what's going on. He trying any and everything.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, if the Knicks trade for him, they trade for him. I'm not gonna be upset.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, let's go then. Let's go.
Yeah,
let's go, Big Bill.
Top of my list. But yeah, I'm not gonna be upset. About anything else. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Anything else on Embiid? All right, let's move on to Fournier. Did Thibs mismanage him and ruin his value? So he played in 27 games last year, and he didn't play a minute in the playoffs. Do you think it was did you think they made the right decision at the time when he was sent to the bench?
Absolutely.
That's two totally different questions.
Okay.
Like
it is though.
Two completely
Well, the first question is, do you think it was the right decision when they sent him, when he was sent to the bench? You're right. It's two questions. So that's the first question.
I mean, it's easy to say yes, because we're judging on history, on what happened after that. They had a winning record. So there's nothing to think there. It's just like, that's what it was. The record speaks for itself, whether it was the right decision or not. Like, we got better results. So whether even if you don't think it was the right decision, but the result, it was we went on winning streaks on a couple of them, actually, after they put him, they benched him and reduced the rotation to 9-man. So right. The answer to that is yes.
Yeah. And we have to think back to the time. Fans was asking for Fournier to be out of the rotation well before it actually happened. Why is he in the rotation? Grimes should be, in the rotation. He's not playing defense. I thought at the time that he was pulled from the rotation. Like, I felt at the time both him and Rose they weren't given enough time, in my opinion, to work out whatever kinks or whatever they were, going through. I don't know if Tom was feeling the heat from the fans. I don't know if he was feeling the heat from the front office. The Knicks, I think, were they 500 or under 500 at the time when that was made, and he felt like he needed to make some
10
changes.
and 13 when they made to the 9-man rotation.
What were we?
10 and 13 when they switched to the 9-man
So
rotation.
we were 3 games under 500, and here comes McBride, which to me was a desperate situation. Here come McBride, and I think Grimes was in the rotate. At one point, we were playing 11. Grimes was playing. Cam Reddish was playing. Fournier was playing. There was a few games where we played 11.
Right.
So, long story short, I thought at that time I would have liked to have given Fournier a little more time, but you can't argue with the results. We went to a 9-man rotation. The defense got much better, and the Knicks started winning, and it started clicking.
I think Evan Fournier just has to be on a team with a more imaginative offense. Like I don't think Thibs really used him correctly as soon as he signed him. So just because of that, like I think it just wasn't a good fit, because I still think Evan Fournier could have gotten burned on this team, especially how bad we shot this year. And in the playoffs, he didn't get any minutes at all when we obviously lack shooting. There are plenty of shooters out there that don't play defense. Evan Fournier is not the only one. It's a reason why they play, though, because they can shoot. Like I said, that he didn't use him correctly, and he still broke our 3-point record in 1 year.
Right.
The very first on a year that I don't think he was used correctly. So, if we was able to intertwine some type of, plays for Evan Fournier, move him around more, coming off screens and stuff like that, how I think he actually should be used, I think he would have been fine getting minutes. But yeah, it's just Thibs didn't do that.
And you would have been okay with him getting minutes, because for him to get minutes, Grimes and IQ's minutes would have been reduced.
Yeah,
you were okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that a little bit. Like I didn't want Evan Fournier to start. I think Grimes should have started over him because of defense, but we clearly needed shooting. Like Evan Fournier didn't have to be completely out of the rotation. It would have to be like situational or on an on-need basis, especially during the Miami series. Like he should have got some burn during that Miami series. There was no reason for him to be on the bench.
That I agree with it. Like I was okay with him once he was out of the rotation. I got it, because if you're going with a 9-man rotation, if you're going with a 10-man rotation, that means every starter has a backup. So that means if Quickly is Brunson's backup, then Quickly is playing 14, 15 minutes a game, because that's all that's available behind Brunson, unless they're going to do a minute share, and that ain't happening. Right. So now you got Fournier sharing minutes with Grimes. So I'm just saying I'm just pointing that out, that a 10-man rotation would have been much less minutes for IQ. Right?
True.
So I think that the 9-man rotation was necessary for Quickly to approach 28, 29 minutes a game. That being said, Joel, I agree with you. I think there were multiple opportunities, particularly in the playoffs, when Quickly got hurt and wasn't playing. Grimes looked like he was. I know we got a lot of Grimes people on the panel, but Grimes looked like he
was lost.
Yeah, he didn't look like himself, picking his dribble up and like Mitchell Robinson waiting for it. I'm like, what are you doing? Anyway, there was ample opportunity for Fournier in the playoff. And that's where I felt like, and we'll get to Fournier's comments, a lot of which I disagree with. But in the playoffs, I definitely thought we could have used him.
Look at the team that beat us. They did the exact same thing with Duncan Robinson.
Right.
He barely played in the regular season. Once the playoffs started, they needed shooting because they were a bad shooting team during the year.
Right.
All of a sudden, Duncan Robinson is getting burned.
Right.
There's a reason for that, because they needed shooting.
Right.
Same thing we needed.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Anybody else want to comment on, if it was the
Does Evan Fournier have a playoff resume?
not?
Has he even ever played in a playoff game
I
other
think
than Boston?
he's played. He made the playoffs. I believe it was one season in Orlando.
Orlando. I was
But
going to
he's
say Denver.
played. To me, I feel like he's played in high leverage situations, even though it was international. Playing in championship games internationally in the Olympics and in the World Cup. Fournier doesn't come across to me as somebody who would have been scared had we put him
Right.
in the playoffs. Even if he doesn't have a lot of NBA playoff experience, and I believe he does. He has some games. He doesn't come across to me. I think he's played in high leverage situations before, and I think he would have been less scared than Quick. Less scared than scared might be a strong word. Less
Lost.
Yeah, less lost than Quick or Grimes.
Evan Fournier has been in the playoffs 4 times. 1 with Denver, 2 with Orlando, 1 with Boston. So,
and how many games total?
Total 19.
Okay.
I don't have percentages though.
Which is probably more than anybody on our team, right?
Right. Yep.
I think it's more than anybody on our. I think it's more than anybody on our team. Maybe Rose had more.
Rose had more.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, definitely Rose.
Well, yeah, Rose. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but he didn't see the floor either.
Evans should never come back into wearing Ray Williams jersey again. Never be back in the New York Knicks number 13 jersey again. Because what he's, the way he let it out, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't deserve to be back in the same situation again. They need to move this guy and do something with him. And like he said, he spoke upon it himself. You know what I'm saying? Y'all killed my value. How do I, how do I set the all-time record and all that deal? And then it's over with. It's over with. I do know when every season begins, the officers, they call each and every player in there individually and talk to them one-on-one about what they've been doing, how was their summer, what's new you're gonna bring to the table, and then they let them know what we'll like for them to do. So I know when Evan came in there, they probably hit him in the head and told him, look, we understand what you did last year, but we're trying to go a little young, and Grimes is going to be that guy, once he get back. He probably shut down right then and there. I'm not trying to make an excuse for him, but they probably told him right there, we're going to see fit, and and try to get you somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But for them to just completely put this man on the bench like that, that was like, to me, that was real ugly. And then you set him down the whole time. You ain't bringing him out there. And then when you finally bring him out there, and I was at that game. I was at that Philly game when we was dead in the water and he spazzed. Okay, right then and there, the very next game, you know what I got to do? Evan, come on, let me make sure you might have it again tonight. I can't let last night be just your last night. Let me make sure that you ain't got it. Let's get some run tonight. I got to ride him just to see. And then, Jarrell spoke upon in the playoffs, Duncan was the same situation. Don't play, he not good at D, you know what I'm saying? But playoff situations makes a player play differently if he got it. And Duncan showed you, I got it. You seen Duncan pump faking, going to the right, dunking on people, backdoor cut, getting bounce passes, laying them up left hand. You seen him doing all types of stuff because he felt free. Okay, I got some run. You know what I'm saying? So they know we should have played Evan inside that series, but they killed the value, whatever value Evan had. That's why he's not movable. He's movable only later on in the season now because expiring contract. But we were supposed to be able to if not use him on the floor, then move that guy. This point in time right here last season, they made their decision what they was doing. This point here in time coming into the season, 22-23, Evan should have been moved before we even started that season instead of allowing him to be on the bench, you know what I'm saying, and going through what he going. You know what he said. Me and Derrick Rose used to look at one another, wondering, yo, are we in the right place? You know, see, this right here allows him to, when he does leave, to talk about the organization. And this is what we be trying to get over with. People trying to put the organization down, knocking our heads off, talking bad about, and then we do small things to allow the door to be opened up so they can bring up some more stuff and say other things about the organization. And that conversation is going to be talked about is once Evan knows. The whispers might come out. Don't go over there, man. They don't know what they're doing. You know.
But Boogie, what was the alternative? 2 years ago, we were like, why are we playing the vets when we need to be developing these young guys?
Mm-hmm.
Finally, we sit Fournier down, a vet, so that one of our young guys can get more time and develop. And now the Knicks have problems with, fans have problems with that. I don't think the Knicks did Fournier wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He was in that starting lineup.
Right.
For I don't know how many games that he started. He shot under 30% or something in the low 30%. His on-off numbers were terrible. So it wasn't like he was out there balling out and they was like, you know what, it's time for us to showcase Grimes. You know, you got to sit down. He wasn't playing well. Neither him nor Rose was playing well, and the Knicks were losing. So I don't really think they did him wrong. I don't think his value. Well, how is his value? Everybody in the NBA knows what he can do. Everybody knows what Fournier can do. He's not new. And everybody understands the situation. The Knicks wanted to go young, so they communicated that to him and they sat him. I'm not playing Fournier. I'm not cutting into Grimes or Quickly's minutes for Fournier on a daily basis. I'm not doing it.
I don't want you to do it after the fact. Grimes is here. He started. Okay, the decision is made. I'm cool with that. But before Grimes got back, I know they told him that we're going to go young. I know they told him that. You know what I'm saying? And so with you knowing that you ain't going to play, that mess with a ball player. You ain't going to play. I ain't going to play. Why? Because we're going to go young. Okay. What you want me to do?
But Boogie, he started. Even though they said that to him, he still started the season. He started a quarter of the season, more than a quarter of the season.
He started to come out.
They did that coming out of training camp. He didn't do anything to make it harder for them not to make that decision.
Grimes didn't. I mean, not Grimes. Evan Fournier didn't start a quarter of the season last season. He started less than 10 games before Grimes came back.
Oh, he only started.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. He started 7 games.
He started 7 games. How many games he played in though?
27.
He played in 27. He started 7.
Yeah,
okay.
Like he played in the first quarter of the games. And I do have playoff numbers for the last time he was in the playoffs. Evan Fournier made the playoffs 3 straight years until he got to the Knicks. And the last time was Boston 2021. He shot 43% from 3. And he was starting 33 minutes a game, shot 43% from 3, 83% from free throw, and averaged 15 points a game. So he was pretty much just a good shooter.
Right.
Queen. So let me tell you what they did wrong with Evan Fournier. Basketball wise, it was the right move for the Knicks, right? Evan Fournier is, I don't know, I guess he just turned 30.
Something like that.
You do realize at 30, he has one more. He can get another contract, right?
Yes.
What the Knicks did is, by what they did, that next contract, which is probably going to be his final contract, is going to be a real crappy one. That's what they did. That's what everybody's looking at. That's what the league's looking at.
Though. So
trade him. Find up that's what
But
Jay
it's
Book is saying.
easier said than done. You think they didn't want to trade Fournier?
Queen, we have a front office. That's their job. They need to figure it out. They get paid millions of dollars to figure it out.
There has to be somebody willing to take that contract as well.
They need to figure it out. That's what they get paid the big bucks, to figure it out.
They have.
It's not me and you. We don't get paid.
Attach assets because that's probably what needed to happen. You would
Okay,
attach assets to move them?
but they did that to move Burks. They did that to move Kemba.
No, it wouldn't have been no second round pick to move to. It wouldn't have been no second round pick.
Listen, because Evan Fournier was not Kemba. Okay, another team would be more willing to take him based on what he did the year before because he had more value. He was a hell of a 3-point shooter. Some playoff team would have picked him up for something.
Ajay, okay, I understand how we feel about the front office, but you're not going to tell me that they didn't call around and try to trade Fournier. You're not going to tell me that they just allow him to sit there and they didn't make any calls.
Queen.
Just because somebody is not traded doesn't mean they didn't try.
Queen.
That would be the epitome of incompetence. If you know you're not going to play a guy and you don't call around and see if you can trade him.
But by the same token, you can't tell me that they called around either. We don't know. We don't know.
That's basics.
I
mean, that's basics,
so
right?
They listen. Let's go back to another trade. They called all over the league, and the best they could get for Obi was 2 second-round picks. Like, no. What are they doing? There's like a whole
you think they
team
could
up
have
there
got more, and they said no?
Ain't nobody called for Obi, man.
Come on.
No, Jay Boogie, they're not making the call. We're making the call. We're making the call and try to get something for him. And the best we could muster up for Obi Toppin.
Yes, you can't tell me that the Knicks, somebody offered them a 1 and they said, no. We're going to send them to the Pacers for 2 seconds. Now, if you want to tell me they could have waited a little longer to the trading deadline to see if something, but you cannot tell me that they didn't check around the league. They only called one team. That's hard to believe.
And Indiana thinks so highly of him that they're thinking about trading for Pascal Siakam.
Yep.
Well, no.
Think about that.
No, Jeff. Indiana doesn't think like us, right? They're building a team. They're going after talent. We go after Thibs guy. All the teams go after talent. Pascal Siakam is obviously more talented than Obi. If he becomes available, they're going for him.
And then they could have went after Siakam too if they didn't have Randle.
No, we go after
playing the same position.
My only point is this, Ajay. If they were so high on top and that he was going to be their starter at the 4 spot, there's no reason to go and make trade inquiries into Pascal Siakam because they play the same position, and you just spent a bunch of money on Jakob Poeltl to play the 5, so they're not going to. So you're going to end up recreating the same position that he was in with the New York Knicks, where he's getting 13 or 14 minutes a game.
They drafted
the league is just not very high on Obi Toppin like Knicks fans are. His stats don't back up. I mean, he's had flashes, whatever you want to call it. But he fits Pacer basketball. He runs up and down the floor, and he doesn't play much defense. And that's kind of what they want to do. That's what they did last year. And yeah, could he put up 20 and 8 in that system? He could, but could they lose 50 games anyway? They could.
I was saying they drafted a power forward in the first round too.
Yeah.
Charlotte wanted him bad. I think he dropped something like 28-9 and something. Had his greatest game he ever had in his life down there. Charlotte wanted him bad.
How much were they willing to give, though?
But right now, Charlotte didn't even give the Knicks a call about Obi, and they ain't got no power forward. They have none. PJ's not even on their team. He would have went perfectly running with Melo. You know what I'm saying? The dude they just drafted. The 4 was wide open. So if
Bridges going to be playing the 4 for them? Huh? Isn't Bridges going to be playing the 4 for them?
Nah, Bridges didn't play the 4. Bridges played the 3. But now he's back. He might He might play the 4 if
Who
they
their
don't bring
their fourth
PJ
was
back. I don't know.
PJ
They
Washington?
might bring him off the bench. But I know they didn't have a 4 on their team, and they could have traded for Obi, but nobody calling for Obi, man. Somebody would have called for him. Nobody called for him.
Right.
And it's
It's
sad.
hard to believe that they would have turned down a number 1 pick if it was
I
offered.
don't think they would have.
But I also think the news getting out about Obi and Tom Thibodeau put some fire under them to move him. You know, maybe they could have waited a little longer, but I just felt like they did not want to bring him back to training camp. You know, after that got out, which brings me to a similar question, you know, with Fournier, given what he said, and let me read some of the quotes for those who didn't. The link is in the description for those who want to read the article, but it is in French. If you have Google, you can translate it, but it is behind a paywall, so you do have to subscribe. But this is some of the quotes. If I stayed, it would be a disaster basketball-wise for my career. I can manage a year without playing. 2, that would be terrible. When he took me out of the starting 5, he just told me he was going to try something else. Then at the first game of a road trip, he announced to me that I was leaving the rotation. Enough for not communicating, though. He did tell him. At first, yes, you want to spit on everyone. You have hatred. Derrick Rose and I looked at each other and said to each other, what the hell are we doing here? During the 5-on-5s, we were on the side, uncool times. And when I realized that wouldn't change, I took things more slowly. I focused on me and didn't let the rest get to me anymore. And the last quote that I have anyway, there's more. If you want to trade me with a good return, why didn't you use me? I was coming out of a season where I was the 4th best 3-point shooter in the league. Why not take advantage of it? Fournier said. Now they won't get anything interesting, and that's normal because I couldn't show anything on the court. Everybody know what Fournier can do. But anyway, the question is now, given, you know, what he said, do you bring him back to training camp? Is this another situation similar to Obi where you feel like I can't bring this guy back to training camp? I have to trade him, even now if I have to attach assets to get rid of him. Do you think he would be disruptive coming back?
I don't, and I don't think you have to trade him because he wasn't playing anyway. Obi was at least still getting minutes in the rotation. Evan Fournier, he could just be mad at the end of the bench. He could just wait till he get traded, or they could tell him to stay home till he gets traded. Just like didn't Jay Crowder do that with Milwaukee last year or something like that?
Right.
So yeah, I think he could just be mad until we get rid of him. He doesn't have to be traded. I don't see him being disruptive. He doesn't play.
Right.
I think this is just a little temper tantrum trying to put a little fire under the Knicks, maybe to expedite his departure. I mean, look, Leon Rose is cheap. He's not attaching an asset to Fournier to get rid of him unless he needs his salary for something, that salary space for something else. And seeing as we're operating pretty much close to the tax line, we don't need that. I mean, and if we're going to get salary relief, that would be one thing, but there aren't any teams out there that are going to just be able to absorb him back into space without sending out a player with bad salary too. You know, if you want to say that the Spurs will give us Dougie McBuckets back to, you know, and send a 2nd round pick or something like that. Okay. Do the Knicks do that deal? I don't know. I don't see, you know, to me, it makes, and it's kind of a headache, I guess, but it makes more sense to keep him around in case a big star trade does become available because he's salary filler and he's expiring salary filler. So, you know, from that standpoint, unless the right deal comes along, and look, nobody's making an offer for Evan Fournier. They definitely weren't doing it 2 years ago, and the only way you would do it now is if you needed the $19 million in salary cap freedom, and teams are probably not going to do that until the deadline. And so, Fournier was a bad signing from Jump Street. So it's been an unfortunate, Leon's biggest mistake without question in my mind. And, Obi being the other one, I would say, but I don't see him getting rid of him anytime soon. I just think that this was Evan, throwing a little temper tantrum, see if he can press the button and the eject button, see if he can get out of here sooner and get on with his career. But the Knicks aren't in any hurry to do anything. There's no incentive for them to do anything at this point.
But guys, let me ask a question. Don't you guys think the rest of the league looks at stuff like that? Like the other players look at that? So you get this guy at 30 years old. He has one chance to get one more contract, but you have him rotting on your bench?
Ajay.
I'm just asking.
No, okay,
don't
but
you think they look at that?
They look at the fact that the Knicks had to play their younger guys. Everybody was talking about, why are the vets playing? Oh, we need to be playing our younger guys. Now our younger guys are in the rotation, and now, why we sitting the vet for a full season? I just think Knicks fans just like to complain.
No,
I just think no matter what it is, they just like to complain.
I'm not talking about fans. I'm talking about the league, the other players.
Yeah, that's what
other players. I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about the other players.
If they don't understand that the Knicks are trying to win, and they decided to play Grimes and give Grimes and quickly minutes over Fournier, if they don't understand that, I don't know what to say. You gotta do things for basketball reasons. You can't. So we're gonna play him just because of perception, or we're gonna play him because he can help us win.
Okay. So maybe that's why Paul George wanted an extension up front, because he didn't want, God forbid, he gets hurt the first season here with the Knicks, and then they throw him on the bench, and then he don't get money for the rest of his career. Okay, they look at stuff like that. They do. Okay, we Knicks fans, we don't want to see it, but they do.
I understand that, but I still don't think the Knicks should have done anything different. I'm not going to play. I agree because of perception.
We agree on that. I agree with you on that, and I thought it was the right move. Like I just said, the results show it was the right move to take him out of rotation, because we started winning after that. So but we're talking about the other aspect of it.
The way they handled it.
Okay. Basketball wise, it was the right thing to do. We're good.
How did they handle it wrong? They told him you're going to be out of the starting lineup, and then they told him you're going to be out of the rotation. So how could they have handled it then? It took him out to dinner.
I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of weeks it's going to be a long summer where players talking about how other players are saying how the Knicks. Don't be surprised if that comes out. How other players are saying how the Knicks front office is terrible, how they treat players. Because on one end, right, last week when they traded Obi for 2 second-round picks, I keep going back to that. Everybody was like, some people were saying, well, no, they did the right thing for Obi, blah, blah, blah. Well, why didn't they do the right thing for this guy?
I think they tried.
Nobody wants to trade for him. He's got a $19 million contract. And wait, let me finish. So in order to get rid of him, you probably would have had to attach our first-round draft pick to him. Would you rather have gotten rid of him and not gotten Josh Hart? Because that's what you probably would have been talking about, is trading away this year's pick, which ended up being the centerpiece of the Portland Trailblazers trade. Is that what you wanted to do? Is that making the best sense for the organization?
And I'm going to tell you again, guys, these guys in the front office sit around all year trying to figure these things out. That's their job. We're not going to figure it out here in a couple of hours, while we're doing, just nicking.
And they weren't able to move him. I believe they tried to move him. Who's taking on a $19 million contract? Who? Give me a team that you think, and we would have had to take back $19 million, by the way.
Queen, if you pay me Leon Rose's salary and I sit around all year in that front office, I would figure it out. But I can't figure it out during
potential teams, but they have to want Fournier. They have to want him. I mean, listen. I don't think the Knicks sat on their hands with this one. I just think they weren't able to move him.
I think the salary was key.
So they're not able to do their job. That's their job.
Okay. All right. It takes two to tangle, though. You can't make another team take them unless you sweeten the pot, and they weren't willing to do that.
Queen, I wanted to come on and make sure I rock with y'all for a while. I gotta get ready. Told somebody else I'll be upon their show. I gotta be at this listening show for the night. You know, my big homie. So shout out to Brooklyn, but big homie dropping another album tonight. That's 5 in 3 years. Ours is on at 12:01 a.m. So yeah, I gotta go be a part of that, get my input about that music and stuff. But you know, much love and respect for all y'all. But don't worry, people, get it right. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the season, whatever's going to happen. You're going to always still be a Knicks fan. You're not giving it up. I don't see no Max Kellermans and going to swap out, switch out. We're going to have to deal with the weather the storm a little bit, man, till they figure it out. Figure it out, man. Figure it out. Figure it out.
Appreciate you, Boogie.
All
right, Boog.
Thanks for coming,
Have
man.
a good night, bro.
All right, bro.
Yeah. There were actually reports throughout the year that the Knicks would have to attach assets to trade Fournier. Multiple reports. And they weren't willing to do it.
Yeah. Seem like they sticking close to the vest. Like we said earlier, they cheat.
But why would you? I mean, he's not hurting you. He's like, why would you attach it? It's not like he's a cancer in the locker room. Why would you give up a first-round pick just to move him?
He's hurting your image.
Nah, he ain't hurting the image, AJ.
Okay, you'll see.
We got to.
This is okay.
I don't think the Knicks can hurt their image worse than they already have, especially not this Evan Fournier not getting traded. They still have 1 billion fans, and they're gonna sell out every game.
And this happens all over the league, where they'll they'll sit a vet because they want to give young players time. This is not new. This is not the first time. When things happen with the Knicks, we act like it's the first time it's ever happened. Happens all the time. We're gonna sit you down because we want to play this young guy.
Ask Josh Richardson, who was in San Antonio last year.
We could have used him.
It happens all the time. It's not new.
And oh, by the way, what they see when they see the Knicks is a team that won 47 ball games, won a playoff series, and doesn't have a player in their rotation over the age of 30. If players are serious about winning, that's what they care about. They don't care about any of that other nonsense.
And we don't have free agent money anyway. We don't have to pitch anything. This is going to be trades.
And I don't think you're going to see a lot of free agent signings. I think trades are going to be the vehicle more than free agency with the new cap rules, new collective bargaining rules anyway. I think I think trades are the new currency. I think free agent signings are going to be less and less because guess what? The way that the things are structured, people can get the most money by re-upping with their own team. And the players themselves, or the star players themselves, are showing that I'm going to sign my big deal, and then I'm going to get to go where I want to go anyway. See Kevin Durant, see, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, don't be surprised if Lillard ends up in Miami when it's all said and done. I mean, just because it hasn't happened yet, don't mean it's not going to.
Right. Players are going to be traded. So you don't have to pitch. If you don't want to play with Randle, too bad. If the Knicks trade for you, what you going to do?
I think if we trade for somebody that good, they wouldn't mind playing with Julius Randle.
Or Thibs. What are you going to do? Oh, I don't want to play here, so I'm not showing up. You're going to play. This is not like free agent where the crack of midnight, you at their door coming in and pitching them to sign with your team. Like Jeff saying, those days are over. You're not giving up money in free agency to go to another team. I'm going to sign with my team. I'm going to get my full money that I'm entitled to, and then I'm going to force a trade or ask for a trade. The irony is the Knicks probably, now that they're trying to reshape this roster into championship contenders, probably need a player like Fournier, like an older player. Like the Knicks are really young, an older player,
An old player that can
playoff
shoot.
experience, that can shoot,
That can
that
shoot.
can shoot the basketball.
Who'd have thunk it?
I think if we were a better defensive team, because I think that was part of the issue, playing Brunson and Fournier
At the same time.
And RJ,
And Randle.
and because Randall's part time. It's part time.
Right. I think that was the bigger. That was the bigger issue. Defensively, you just can't. And Fournier tries. Don't get me wrong. I know people give him grief defensively, but he tries.
He's just not capable.
He's just not capable.
Yeah.
And listen, benching him for Grimes was the right move, because Grimes is probably a better player at this point, a better two-way player than he is.
Oh, a better two-way,
I just disagree with him not.
I think Fournier is an overall better player right now. Still,
yeah.
Take into experience, taking into, his shooting. He can also put the ball on the floor. We just didn't use him to his potential, as Joel said earlier. There's other things he can do to his. When he won the 3-point, when he broke the record shooting 8 3-pointers a game, that was never his game. Coming off screens, putting up 3-pointers, catch and shoot 3-pointers. He was like a poor man's Gordon Hayward, somebody who can do it all: shoot the three, shoot off the dribble, drive to the lane, pass the ball. That was his game.
Yep.
When he came here, he was just relegated to being a 3-point shooter.
Oh well.
Hit the like button. Hit the like button.
He will be gone. He'll be gone soon.
Yeah. But that's the. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
We had 110 like, man. Let's get this thing to 150, man. With over 200 people in the chat.
We got 211 people watching. I appreciate you guys for supporting the channel.
You.
The more likes we get, the more, you guys know, when you go to your when you go to YouTube, they have recommended, videos. They'll recommend the video more if we get likes. So please,
it's the easiest way to support the channel.
Yeah,
it's very easy.
Anything else on Fournier? Now, he probably didn't. Well, I don't know. I was about to say he probably didn't think it would get back, but I don't think you could say anything in this world of
he knew
social
that
media.
I'd
expect that it's gonna get back, even though it was in French.
It's a no-lose situation for him, though. What are they going to do? Not play him? Oh, they're already doing that. What are they going to do? Not trade me? What are the results? So either it gets him out the door faster, or he's in the same situation and he can sit on the pine, get a few splinters, and get $19 million for it.
So this coming season is, so he's under contract, right?
Yeah.
And the following season is a team option?
Yes.
Yes.
They could really stick it to him and have him on the bench.
Oh, they're not picking up that team option. There's no way.
Nah, I don't think
they could be. Oh you want to talk? Okay, and keep him on the bench for 2 seasons.
There was actually reports that they were trying to do right by Fournier and send him to a team that's competitive. I read a report. This was a while ago.
They probably try to trade him back to France, Steph. I don't know about that.
Speaking of that, the kid they drafted that plays in the EuroLeague, man, this guy never coming back over here, man.
Yeah,
He's still under contract over there, though, right?
Yeah. So what was the point?
Yeah,
what was the point? What was the point of drafting? I don't understand these drafting stat stuff, man.
Well, you hope later on that he would, he probably look at the Knicks. We got all guards.
Yeah, come over here for what?
So that means there was never any attempt. I don't know. Whatever. All right. Next.
Yeah, that's all I have. Unless we want to talk let's talk. Let me read the super chat from Jay Boogie, who just left the show. Auntie Geraldine MacGyver, peace, love, and blessings. Thanks, Queen, for having me. Of course. Shout out to the chat and panel. My big brothers from Little Bro. Okay. All right. Appreciate you. Always. Let's just talk real quick, and then this is all I have about that backup power forward spot.
Okay.
They signed James Knight, I want to say. Did I get that right?
Nate Knight.
Nathan.
Nathan.
Nathan Knight. I think he last played with Minnesota. They signed him on a 2-way contract. I'll just put all of them out there, and then you give me your thoughts. Isaiah Roby, who played in the summer league. There was thoughts about Rudy Gay, who was recently released, and he's entering his 20th season. And then Jermichael Green is also out there, played for Golden State Warriors last season. And I don't know if you guys remember Trendon Watford, power forward from Portland, is a free agent as well. Any thoughts on any of those players?
I personally would like Watford, but I don't know why he hasn't signed yet. Maybe he's waiting for, I don't know. It seems like a lot of free agents haven't signed yet, maybe because they're waiting for like the Damian Lillard trade to come through. So everybody can figure out, like Wood isn't signed yet either, right?
Wood isn't signed yet either.
Yeah, so it's a reason for all of that. I like Watford, but the Knight kid, he's pretty good, athletic, around 6'10", 6'11", could play the 4 and the 5. I mean, he hasn't gotten that much burn in the NBA, so it's not really that much to say about him. But he's young, he's a body, athletic, plays okay defense, okay around the rim. Yeah, it's like he can play. Say that again.
Can shoot the 3.
Can he? I didn't think he could shoot the 3. Can he?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So
who's that? The Knight guy?
Yeah.
Nathan Knight played for Minnesota. Like they got rid of him simply because they had enough bigs. Like it's not like he can't play.
Right.
So we might have got a steal. So we'll see. He could definitely play backup power forward for us if that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, we only looking for 12, right?
Right.
He was going to play, 36 minutes?
Yeah, that's
35 minutes?
Yeah.
So 13, 14 minutes, that's all we need. But I would like somebody in that 13, 14 minutes to burst in there on fire for that 14 minutes.
So you want the best. You want Julius Randle, who's like top 5 in his position. But the backup power forward got to be the best backup power forward in the league.
Right, I mean, just come in and just get some deflections, get some rebounds, play really good defense, dive on the floor, like just be active.
Right. Yeah,
that's what I need from that. From that spot. And if you can hit a 3, great.
I like him though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just from the clips that I've seen, I've just seen clips. I don't remember ever seeing him play in an NBA game. So I've just been watching the various clips that's been out there. So you just get a chance to see his skill set. But how that meshes with the Knicks, that's another story. He could put the ball on the floor too, because he had the 3-point shot, faked it, put the ball on the floor, took it in for a slam. So
I never saw him play, so I don't know much about him, but I've been saying all night, I truly love and appreciate the optimism. Jarrell said, maybe we got a steal.
Maybe.
The guy was just around and none of the other 29 teams stole him. We swooped under and we grabbed him. Maybe. And he going to turn out to be that monster. Maybe. Let's keep our fingers.
Well, not monster. Able to play 11, 12 minutes a game. That's all we pretty much need.
That's right.
And I just appreciate the fact that we're so optimistic about it. And I hope you're right, because it'll be good for the team if that turns out to be the right.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think
it's talent. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I'm optimistic because look who he's replacing, Ajay.
Oh, don't say that to Ajay.
I'm just saying,
Obi should have went for 2 first.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about like talent wise. I'm just talking about like his production compared to his minute share and all that. Like it shouldn't not be that hard to replace.
Queen, I don't know if you remember when we talked about Isaiah Roby. I did say it's not gonna make a difference. The little bit of minutes Obi Toppins was getting, Isaiah Roby could have probably give you the same production, would have the same impact at those few minutes. God forbid he had to start, it would have been a different story. But
Right.
in limited minutes, most power forwards can give you what Obi Toppin was giving you on the Knicks.
And he's more of a traditional, like this. Nate Knight is way more of a traditional power forward than Obi is. Like he's a true 4-5. Like he can actually be on the court at the same time with Julius Randle.
Right.
Thibs wouldn't do that with Obi.
Right. Any thoughts on Rudy Gay? I just think he's just
Nah.
yeah. I mean,
I like Rudy Gay, but he's got to be up there in age, man. How old is he?
Oh, yeah.
he got to be in his late 30s, right? He might not be.
Me
I mean, we talk about
Be about
36.
we
38.
talk about Taj
36.
Gibson kind of old right now.
No, he's 36.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought he was older than that.
I thought he was older than that too. Yeah.
Well, you guys are talking like 36 and old. That's mad. That's really old. How old is Taj Gibson?
Taj Gibson
Old
is
as hell.
older than that.
Old as hell, too.
Taj got to be up by 38, 37, 38.
Yeah, I think so.
Taj 38.
Yeah, okay. Same kind of same things.
I don't think any of those guys would see the light of day.
Not at all.
Even if only way Roby or Knight are seeing any time on the court is if we have injuries. I think that the plan is to play small with that second unit, have RJ and Josh Hart man the 4 spot and play with DiVincenzo. I know you don't like it, but I think that that's what the plan is. I don't think they have a problem with that. I think Coach Thibodeau is comfortable with that. And the limited minutes, I think he can get away with it. And I think that's what we're going to see. I don't think you're going to see much of Isaiah Roby. I think Knight is worthwhile to have on your G League team. And he, he's not a bad player, but he's not superior. I mean, look, none of these two-way contract guys are going to be seeing any time. I mean, they're there because they're assets and everything, but I mean, they're not going to be seeing time on the floor. And Roby's in the same boat, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Some takes age poorly. This may be one of them, but I think that they're going to go with a 9-man rotation. I think they like what they have. I think they have an opportunity to steal some extra minutes for RJ and some extra minutes for Hart with the players that they have. And I think that's the game plan moving forward.
He's right.
Super funny.
I mean, yeah.
I didn't mean to ruin your night there, Queen. I'm
No,
sorry.
I mean it's okay. I mean, the Knicks are just, the more we talk about it, the more it's just taking all the excitement out of the season. You rolling that second unit with Hartenstein at the 5, RJ at the 4,
Yeah.
Hart at the 3, DiVincenzo at the 2, and Quick.
Yeah, on paper, it does not look good on paper, man. I don't know. Maybe they find a way to work some magic over there.
I mean, hopefully that's a running team.
I think it's pretty good defensively.
Yeah. I want a real power forward, backup power forward.
I would like one too. I'm not saying that's what I would do. I'm saying that's what I think the Knicks are going to do.
Yeah, I hate Suit the old head. That's my guy. I really, really hate RJ playing the 4 idea, but I know that's what Thibs is going to do. But I really, really hate that idea, man.
Yeah,
that's not good.
And Hart is a better rebounder,
right?
But you give up 3 inches from 6'4" to 6'7", from RJ.
We need a real power forward. That's why I was saying at least Knight will at least have length on the bench. Like you come in 6'10", 6'11", play the 4 and the 5. A little more, he'll be a little more aggressive offensively, at least than Sims if he took over his minutes, like the little minutes Sims actually gets. So,
but this is the thing, to play those guys, now you're going to a 10-man rotation.
Right.
You go into a 10-man rotation, there's going to be a minute share at every position.
Right.
And
I would rather have a real backup power forward and reduce RJ's minutes, if that's possible.
Yeah.
We don't need him playing on backup 4. Nah.
Right. In terms of, I'm just looking at minutes played. Last season, Randle played 35.5 minutes, or 36 minutes. So that's 12. that's what, 12 minutes?
But remember, we sent Obi out, who was filling the rest, but we brought in DiVincenzo, and we're not bringing in DiVincenzo to play 12 minutes. We're probably bringing in DiVincenzo to play at least 20 minutes. And so that means that minutes are already getting shaved other places. And so
I don't know if it's going to be Randle, though.
No, it's definitely not going to be Randle.
Right.
I'm just saying it's already probably going to be RJ. And so one of the ways to keep him on the floor longer is to play him at the 4
and give him those 12 minutes.
Right. Or Josh Hart gets the backup 4 minutes and then plays a little bit of backup 3 also. That's the other thing, the other way that works.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, he played 36. Let me see, what did RJ Barrett? RJ Barrett minutes went down as soon as Hart came to the team, but then injuries, and then it went back up.
He played 36 minutes. I'm sure of it.
34.
34. Okay.
But it was up there until Hart came.
Right.
And then it went down.
Yeah, Thibs loves him some Josh Hart now.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm looking at RJ's minutes. They seem like he plays a lot of minutes, but he's never played more than 35 minutes. 35 is a lot, though.
I was about to say, Steph, that's a lot. Damn. Because one year I remember him being like in the top 5 or something like that. Him and Randle. See, I told Steph another Thibs, yo. You be running your players. Steph be running her players, yo. I'm telling you. That ain't nothing.
Jalen played 45 minutes in that one game, and we needed him to play 48.
That is.
Because those 3 minutes he was off the floor. When they put in,
go ahead.
They put in Deuce and 10-0 run for Miami.
You talk about me being upset with Thibs, and like I say, even though I'm a Thibs supporter, I'm not saying I agree with everything he does. You talking about being pissed?
I know you was pissed. I was like, what is he doing?
Like, yo, what is he doing? You can lose the game in the first quarter.
Queen texted me, so I know she was mad. I was like,
right.
I was like,
I know, but
I think Miami would have came back from that 14-point lead anyway. But let them work for it. Don't just give it to them.
Listen, in the moment, I know she was pissed, right, Jarrell? So I didn't want to make it worse. But in my head, I was like, that's your boy.
Like, look at your man's now.
That's your boy.
That's your boy right there. That's
right
you.
there. So
I'm like, out of all, he played 48 minutes the game 5. You want to give him a rest in game 6?
Right. I didn't get it either. I didn't get it either. Like, what are you doing?
And you want to put McBride in as the lead guard, who has never been the lead guard ever throughout the season. Always played off the ball. You're going to put him in with Josh, with the Bam Bam crew, for those who are familiar with the Flintstones. You're going to put him in with Josh Hart, RJ Barrett. Was it Obi Toppin?
Nah, because that's why Obi was yelling at Thibs because he didn't put him in.
I was like, who you put? I was like, oh my, please, before you know it, delete. And when you look at it on pay, it was less than 2 minutes. It seemed like they was in there for 5 minutes.
Right.
Less than 2 minutes. Boop, 8-0 run. I was like, look at this.
As soon as the sub happened, I was mad. I was like, what? Watch.
Brunson and Randle was on the bench.
Right. At the same time. I was like, Thibs, you do know this is an elimination game, right?
Okay.
Like, if we lose tonight, we're going home. Like, what is he doing?
48 minutes all around. I remember I used to call timeouts for people to breathe. Look, I can't take you out. I'm calling this timeout. Come sit down, sit down, rest, take some breaths. This is the only rest you're gonna get.
Even foul,
Yeah.
you know.
I was going to say the same thing. I heard coaches take foul just to stop the clock, get a breather.
Yeah, that. Oh man,
Have a review. Those things take.
Fall down. You fall down. You about no. You're getting up too fast.
Yeah,
wait. Do like Jason Kidd, spill a little drink on the court or something.
Yeah. Bump a little something off the score table. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Yeah, I was. Yeah, that was.
I did something I was tip. I start taking off stuff. I threw a shoe. I'd have got to tech myself before I would have.
But why are you? It's the first quarter. It's not even like it's the fourth quarter and you see them running, wearing down. And like, oh, I'm gonna have to get this guy a breather.
You know what it is? It's almost like Thibs forgot he was in Game 6 of the playoffs. It was like a regular season game.
Like
at the 8 o'clock mark, I'm giving these two a breather, regardless of the situation.
It's like, what are you doing? And maybe he thought we got a big enough lead. This will be a time to give him a blow.
All right, both of them.
Right. That's what I was about to say. But both of them.
But Queen, you know what I understand? Like all the assistant coaches nobody says, "Yo, what are you doing?"
What they gonna say though?
What they gonna say?
If you was up there, you would have said that either. You just would have been mad at Thibs did it.
You know, fella Harrington couldn't say anything.
They just sit there and be pissed, right?
What Othello gonna say?
Right.
Look, he got a job. You think he gonna say something to Thibs?
Right. Yeah, I know Thibs would want to take that back. And I know he probably think we got a 14-point lead. This is my time to give him a blow. I'm like, but the game just started.
The game just started. They're not even tired. Like, they're good.
Oh boy. That was funny. But that's all I have. Do you guys have anything before we get out of here?
No, man.
Shout out to the chat. I appreciate you guys.
For real.
Let me see.
I would be
shocked. I know the likes went up, man.
Yeah, actually, get them with the likes, man. With the likes.
They responded, man. And there's still like about 50, 55 people holding back. So come on, man. On the way out, man. Don't forget to hit that like button, man.
Yeah. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel.
They're gonna hit it on the way out. Those that haven't yet.
Hit it on the way out. Yeah. We got 187 still with us and 134 likes. Yeah,
that was a good show, man. Y'all better like this show. That was a good show.
Yeah, it was. You guys are always fun. You guys are always fun.
Yeah,
oh, did I miss? I missed a few. Did I miss a few? Yeah, I missed it. Silk Sutton, I appreciate you for rocking with us. Thank you. Hey, Queen, your friend Devontae arrested. Is Ja next? Who?
Ja's friend Devontae got arrested.
I see.
Oh, it's Ja next. That's what he's saying.
Oh, wow.
Hey, man. Ja Morant got some problems going on over there in Memphis.
Right.
You know what? They're in Memphis, right? Whatever.
See, AJ don't get it at all.
He's Memphis.
He don't get it.
If they wanted to get off a job right now, I take who you.
He needs to change the scenery. Send him to New York. That's what I can tell.
Yeah. If he get arrested when he get out, I'm sure
John
Rose has a good lawyer that he can send him.
Yeah,
no, I'll be right there waiting outside.
Right, the courthouse chilling with a sign up that got Moran on it.
Oh boy, Justo11. I hope I got that right. I appreciate you, RJ. I guess Quentin Grimes IQ. Who do you guys feel takes the jump and who struggles?
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, that was last week.
That was a good question though. I think we did say Quentin Grimes and IQ for the most part, but I think we did agree that RJ should be the right answer, but he's not. Something like that.
Right.
I think that's perfectly said, Jarrell.
Yeah, he should have the biggest jump, but he probably won't. So it'll probably be either Grimes or IQ just by the order of elimination.
And then we added if by some miracle RJ gets a huge jump, that actually puts him back to where he was 2 years ago. So it's really not a jump.
and then we still can trade him. We said a whole lot last week about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's gonna be Quentin Grimes. I just think he has so much more to his game. But I don't know. It seems like he has confidence issues. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. We shall see.
Plus minus stats with him on the floor are something else though with that starting lineup.
Or
Yeah, no doubt.
IQ,
Even
plus,
though his
IQ
stats
plus
are
minus, IQ
Yeah.
plus minus too, or great.
Yeah.
But then there's RJ's.
See Jerome.
RJ.
You talk about somebody who's been gifted time, and you wonder, I don't know if I want to use knocks, but you just wonder if there was another player, if you gave him that much time, let them start, let them find a way, would they have
That much rope.
done better?
Let him take all those shots. And he gets his usage rate is out of this world. He gets to chug him up till it gets to his 20, I guess.
There was a time during the season where I did think that. I'm like, RJ just trying to get to 20. He ain't even playing with the rest of the team.
Exactly. Head straight down. He out there playing running back. They're backing up.
That's not good news. New York not going to pay him if he's a running back.
Looking for the holes. He backing up, looking for the holes to get to the rim.
Looking for holes, man.
Oh, God.
He kills me
You got
with
another
the
super chat stuff.
Oh yeah, no.
Jesto 11, appreciate you again. Wish RJ worked with Joe Johnson. He needs that mentor.
See,
yeah.
Before we actually got on, we was talking behind the scenes about RJ. I said if he can't get a 3-point shot, turn into DeMar DeRozan or something. Like he idolized him growing up in Toronto. I'm actually confused why his game isn't more like him. That he could try to master the mid-range game and go into the basket, but that 3-point shot might not ever develop.
Yeah.
He shot it well 2 years ago. 2 seasons ago.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about the mid-range, the footwork. I don't know if RJ has
got it.
Footwork. Yeah, I don't know if he has.
Maybe we could have him just chill in the mid-range where he ain't got to go nowhere.
But Queen, that's a style of play. His version of the footwork is backing up to midcourt and then
running back.
That's his style. That's what he does.
It's like one of those smart cars. You got to pull it back so it'll
go. Pull it back and then yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And listen, and he may surprise us.
Listen,
I'm ready.
We making fun of RJ, man. Thank God some of the RJ people are not coming back.
Yeah, most of the people that hate RJ still in the chat.
Yeah, so Corey Lee ain't here.
Whereas our community, our children would be
oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, we would have got mad tomatoes already.
Because he or she still believes RJ is going to be a star.
Superstar.
Well, Tsunami wouldn't be real happy with us either.
Tsunami either. Shout out to Tsunami. You're right.
Yeah, but see, Tsunami got some sense though. You know what I'm saying? She know by now, like,
right.
You know by now she can't talk about RJ the way she did when we first started doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Like things have changed a little bit. He's regressed.
Yeah, but she had the cheerleader skirt and the pom poms and the whole deal. I'm wanting to tell you.
Yes, she did.
Love you, Tsunami. Nothing but love.
Tsunami, man.
She did.
He was
had RJ sitting on her shoulder on the wall.
Her baby. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
that RJ was her baby.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the same age. Salute the Snobby, man.
Yeah. We'll see. Next season. I can't. Yeah. Y'all done brought me down a little bit.
Wow. Yeah. How?
We brought up RJ.
No, I'm just saying RJ playing power forward.
But I said this Nathan Knight looks a little bit, look at his highlights and study his tape a little bit. You would throw him out there for like 10 to 12 minutes before you put RJ at power forward consistently. I don't like that at all.
We shall see. All right. Any last words?
Thanks again, Queen. Love being here with you. So much fun.
It is a lot of fun. It takes me a little while to think of topics, though. I gotta try to get it.
Man, it's the offseason, and we ain't had no draft picks, Steph. You get what you get.
Yeah, that's true. We ain't had no
summer league wasn't even worth talking about. You got
that's true.
You got rolled on this one.
Unless you want to talk about how Trevor Keels finagled himself to get another two-way.
That's exactly. I said somebody must be dating his mom or something.
Right.
Another two-way contract.
You know what it is, Steph? He's CAA.
Oh, he's CAA?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh.
Yeah, there's got to be another CAA guy we can get in there. It's like one of the biggest agencies out there.
Listen, become Charlie Brown's agent, man, and keep him.
Right.
I mean,
obviously, Charlie Brown.
There were multiple players that outplayed Trevor Keels throughout the summer league. He the one who got the contract. Why?
I don't get it, man. I don't know what they're doing.
They had him playing point. I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
got me mad about no damn Trevor.
He was turning the ball low. I was like, he got another contract.
Got another.
Yeah, this is not ending well, man. Queen is depressed about next season. Jarrell's pissed off about Trevor Keels. This is not ending well right now, man.
Now we doubling down on the whack.
Right.
Like, come on, man. Stop it.
I'm like, there was somebody else we could have gave a contract to in all of summer league. It doesn't have to be on our team.
We signed
for real
and traded them, Steph. I'm ready to go. Like I said, we signed Obi Toppin's brother and then just traded him.
They traded him?
No, I'm talking about traded Obi.
Oh, traded Obi.
But the brother, his contract's been downgraded to Exhibit 10, I think.
Yeah, so he not getting out of training camp. He probably be on, like, we traded Obi just to put his brother on the G League team. It's weird stuff, man. Weird stuff.
Yeah, the CAA nepotism is getting ridiculous.
It is what it is at this point.
Because I'm like, somebody said Kales got busy. I must have missed those games. I only watched the first two.
Listen, stop. He had stop.
He had one decent game.
Like, really? He had one. And even in that decent game, it's because he scored, but he was not efficient at all. Like he was not good.
It is stuff in this world I am not arguing. Not arguing Trevor Keels got busy. No.
Jeez, got busy? Like, really?
Yeah.
He needs to get busy finding another career is what he needs to get busy doing. This basketball thing ain't working out for him too well.
First of all, he wasn't 6'8".
No.
That was disappointing.
And he wasn't even thin. I said he back to his linebacker tendencies.
I was about to say turn a tight end. We could use another move tight end on the Giants, man. I'm saying
he's on that James Harden diet.
Yeah, Jets too. They can use another move tight end. Put a helmet on Trevor Keels, man. He's athletic enough to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
Never understood that pick. From the moment we made it,
to be a point guard.
A steep curve on that.
I wish I would get an on-the-job training with just contract to learn something.
Yeah, you can't be drafted and then learn how to play the position you got drafted at. No, he should already know what he's supposed to be. He's not a point guard. Y'all know that.
Yeah, but I was just joking about somebody dating his mom.
Yeah, that was
Just a joke. It's just a joke, family. Just a joke.
I do like that Jalen Martin's on a 2-way contract. I think that's a smart sign.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
They like that. A lot of people wanted Charlie Brown though, but I think Martin is
too
the better.
old, right?
Yeah, I think he couldn't even be a 2-way contract. I think you got to be in the league for at least, well, not over 4 years, right? Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 26. Charlie Brown is.
Right. Like Martin only 19, so that's a good 2-way.
That's definitely.
Trevor Keel's only like 19, 22 though. So.
Yeah, but he ain't looking no better though. I mean, his shot looks better.
It's still not good though.
Yeah, I'm about to say how. Like, you mean like physically, like it looks better or it got better?
It looks better.
Okay.
No,
Doesn't matter how it look if it don't go in though.
Yeah, it's just still. He hit a couple.
Yeah.
Dang, people saying Alonzo Trier over.
I did like what Charlie Brown did. I'm not gonna lie though. If they wanted to give him a 15th roster spot over Jeffries, I wouldn't care. Although Jeffries played well in the
Jeffries played pretty good.
Yeah.
I like what Jeffries did before he got hurt. I mean, he had a monster game until he left in the third quarter and then shut him down after that, I guess.
Right. Patterson, he had wrote a long thing on Twitter.
Oh, the point guard.
Yeah, about
he ain't got no great story. He doesn't have any pathway to be on the Knicks at all, though.
Yeah.
So another small 6-foot point guard, I don't see it at all. He might be on our G League team.
No, I mean, just
not afraid to shoot. I'll give him that.
That's true.
Yeah, but I was just saying on any team. Yeah, you're right. It was a nice story. So hopefully he gets picked up. Knicks 100 AGM said he shoots too much. He only played.
I would agree with that too. Right? That's kind of what I meant.
Yeah.
Anyway, we out of here. I appreciate you, Jarrell, Jeff, Ajay,
Thank
the
you.
chat. I always appreciate.
Hit the like button on the way out.
Yes, hit the like button. We got 143 right now, 157 still with us.
Yeah, 3 more to make it. Let's make it 150 on the way out, y'all.
Yeah.
Salute to the chat.
Yeah.
Peace.
Salute to the chat. Salute to the queen.
Appreciate you.
Ajay.
Appreciate you.
You tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Right now, please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope soul, sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that.